The National Union of Metalworkers of South Africa has reached a settlement with Goodyear Tyres for over 900 workers that have lost their jobs. The employees are set to get a lump sum severance package coupled with non-financial benefits that's starting from around 100,000 rand. 64 workers who've been at the company for more than 26 years or more will get an average payout of around 1 million rand. Numsa also announced that it will explore options to attract a new investor to the area in an attempt to mitigate the devastating job losses and their impacts on the local community. Goodyear Tyres announced 2 months ago that it was transforming its go-to-market strategy in Europe, Middle East and Africa region to optimize its footprint and portfolio. Meanwhile, Numsa says Goodyear has set a bad precedent and is urging government to tighten measures on operations of multinational companies to address the dumping of tyres from outside the country. The trade union has also called on government to increase import tariffs across the automotive sector, including tyres and steel. CEO of the National Association of Automotive Component and Allied Manufacturers, Renai Moothilal, joins us for more. A very good evening to you. Thank you so much for your time. I mean, as we look at the impact of Goodyear Tyres shutting doors, 78 years in the business and 900 jobs on the line. As an insider in the space, does this closure come as a surprise at all?
Yeah, evening. Thanks for having me. I don't think it's a complete surprise, but still Goodyear has been in the country for a very long time. And of course, it's a significant impact, both in terms of jobs and overall business opportunities lost in the region. So, yeah, definitely a concern, and hope the trend can be reversed in some ways.
You say it doesn't come as a complete surprise. What do you believe to be some of the influential factors which may have led to this position?
Yeah, look, ultimately there's been a long-term deterioration of the domestic automotive market in general, both from a vehicle and a components perspective, particularly in the replacement market, I mean, of which tyres is a really significant category. If I could just give you, just by way of illustration, I think over the last 15 years, the vehicle market was probably about 50% split between domestically assembled and imported vehicles. At most recent look, it's more than 65% imported vehicles. So that effectively means that countries that are invested and employing and producing both vehicles and components in South Africa are losing a greater share of the domestic market, and that doesn't bode well for long-term sustainability.
Yeah. What about the impact of Asian automotive imports? How much of a factor?
Yeah, I mean, it's not particularly Asia per se. I think in general we've seen greater imports, but of course Asia is known as a low-cost, high-productivity manufacturing destination. So it is kind of natural that you see the influx of brands coming from that part of the world. And I think it's commonly reported that particularly Chinese automotive sector, there's been instances of price wars in their own domestic market, high levels of capacity built up. And now with what we're seeing in terms of the shift for kind of global geopolitics and the trade regimes, all of that pent-up production has to find a home somewhere, and South Africa is an attractive market.
So what does this closure essentially mean for the automotive sector as we look at the big gap that will now need to be filled, and also considering the local value chain?
Yeah, like I said, I mean, it's not exclusively about this one particular closure. As an organization, we've tracked probably around 12 plant closures in the last 24 months. So yeah, Goodyear is a high-profile example. It's just reflective of what I said earlier, a decreasing value proposition for domestic production. But it's not one that can't be reversed. I do think there are opportunities to fill this gap. I mean, you spoke particularly about Numsa's attempts at working towards finding alternate investors into the particular plant.
Yeah.
We'll see where that goes. But I do think as the South African autos industry transitions, the opportunities around new energy vehicles, some of the components associated with that, the critical minerals that are found in our region, neighboring countries, there are some niche opportunities to be found, but it requires quick action from all stakeholders, both public and private. And I think we could probably find ways in the medium term of ensuring that we've got a long-term sustainable sector.
So as Metalworkers Union Numsa, together with the DTIC, scramble to rescue Goodyear Tire, the plant, what kind of an investor will be needed as we look at the trends and the shifts within the space?
Look, I'm sure for that particular plant, it's already set up for the kind of tire production environment. So that would naturally be the first port of call. But ultimately, technology changes and the kind of equipment that is there, there's probably some level of IP that belongs to the company that's exiting. So in an ideal world, you find someone from the tire sector, but if you could kind of retool it into any form of high volume automotive production, I think ultimately the sector will benefit from the employment and production of some level of continued manufacturing in that space.
Very well. And perhaps very lastly, as much as this is, a loss, and you've made mention of the many other losses that you've seen and reflected on in the past 24 months, perhaps not as high profile as Goodyear Tires, what kind of opportunity does it leave within the industry?
Yeah, I think, as I was touching on, we are in a period of transition for the sector. South Africa's got a very long history of autos manufacturing, so it's not as if we are some kind of emerging destination. There's a lot of capability and skill already inherent in our value chain. So I think for me, the kind of work that can be done on policy that drives autos manufacturing in our country, we've got a stable policy environment, typically underpinned by the APDP. Under the SA Autos Master Plan framework, with a bit of tweaking that is a little more forceful in driving greater localization, assistance in finding export replacement markets. I think those are the kind of initiatives that are needed to unlock some of the opportunities that you're referencing.
Very well. Thank you so much for speaking to us this evening. CEO of the National Association of Automotive Component and Allied Manufacturers, Renai Moothilal.